The Detroit Lions officially hosted an edge rusher today. Well, it's about time, right? If you're a certain collection of fans that has been just waiting and salivating for an edge rusher to make it into Detroit, well, this one actually has some legs. And what I mean by that is this one could actually stick. I can see where DJ Wonnum could become a Detroit Lion, if not today. Could be tomorrow. Could be the next day. I hope. I kind of like the guy. Kind of like what he's put on tape, his stats, everything. But I've uncovered the medicals. We're going to figure out just who this guy is. And we're going to talk about how he actually fits in Detroit, because I see something different from Brad Holmes that I've never seen before by bringing DJ Wonnum in for a visit. And we're going to talk all about that right now.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
All right, welcome into Rock Down Detroit Lions. I'm your host, Will Rock. Appreciate you guys joining me here tonight on this video. Like I said, the Detroit Lions have brought in DJ Wonnum on an official visit today. No deal in place that we know of yet. At least that's the understanding that I have. And look, this is one that I wouldn't mind seeing in Detroit, quite honestly. Completely off my radar. I miss this one. Yes, I'm human. I miss things too. It's okay. But man, veteran, 30 sacks, solid career so far, a major injury that we'll talk about. But there's something different here. And maybe this is a risky move. It's different for Brad Holmes to bring in a 3-4 outside linebacker into a 4-3 defense when you're looking for a guy that potentially has the hand in the dirt, getting after the quarterback on the right side of Aiden or the left side of Aiden, whatever it is. Or are we seeing a philosophy change? And I've been kind of saying this now for a couple weeks, that I'm wondering if we're going to go to more of a 2 linebacker set and kind of change up this defense to more of a nickel-based defense as opposed to just a 4-3-based defense. And that would kind of lend to our edge standing up. Less hand in the dirt. Wherever they're more comfortable, if they're standing up, if they're in the wide 9, whatever it is. This would kind of lend to that credibility simply because DJ Wonnum is a 3-4 outside linebacker. At least that's what he's been through his time in Minnesota and the last 2 seasons in Carolina. Very interesting move here, if it sticks. Now, he did have a major injury, so I looked at the medicals, the contract. We'll talk about the contract, the advanced metrics. We'll go through some of his stats. What does Calvin Shepard want? I mean, is this the exact rotational piece that is going to protect Aiden Hutchinson? Yeah, you heard me right. Protect. Not opposite of Aiden, right? Like everyone likes to say. I'm going to say protect Aiden, because at some point you gotta protect Aiden from himself. You know, he wants to be out there for 95% of the snaps and just go, where a guy like DJ Wonnum, who is not your prototypical 6'5", 280-pound guy, or 275 like, Marcus Davenport. He's a little bit smaller. Good height, right? Still 252 to 258 pounds, depending on where you read it. Giant lengthy arms, 34 1/8 to 34 1/4, depending on where you read it. He's prototypical everything for a 3-4 backer and or a speed rusher in a 4-3 base system. But protecting Aiden, man, if you're thinking of putting him on the other side with Aiden to get Aiden in and out, this guy offers something better than what Aiden actually offers. And I'll explain that. Don't get your panties in a twist. I'll explain what that means. And then this also leaves the door wide open for another edge or 2 in the draft on the other side. And maybe we're going to see a lot better rotation this year. So, major injury we'll talk about. The evaluation I have on Wonnum is this, man. Drafted in the 4th round. He was kind of one of those draft darlings that, one of those, diamonds in the rough, if you will. It was a good pickup by Minnesota. He was someone that was supposed to progress into a much better pass rusher than he has been, but I wouldn't say that his career so far has been lackluster. I think that he's actually played pretty well. I mean, not everybody has 10 sacks every year, right? It's not likely. It's highly unlikely. But this guy, I think, could get there. He almost got there once, and I think that he could get there in this defense. Like I said, the prototypical size, he possesses the exact physical levers that coordinators want to see, on a defense. He's smart, he's heady, he's fast, he's twitchy. He does something that I really love, which I'll explain in a minute too. But coordinators covet these guys, man, especially, when you watch him as a rookie, he really shattered that developmental curve right away. He established himself as a highly reliable, heavy-handed edge setter. And so that's kind of question number one. Is he an edge setter? Is he, just a pass rusher on third downs? Can he play, down 1 and 2? Yes, he can. He can do it all. He posted a career high 9 sacks, depending on where you read it, or 8, again, depending on where you read it. PFF says 9, I think, and everywhere else has 8, but PFF, I think, likes to inflate stats. Sometimes they have 9. But we'll go with 9. Why not? We'll go with 9. So that was between 2021 and 2023. Now, 2023 was a defining year for what DJ Wonnum could mean for Detroit. I'll explain that too in just a second. First, let's talk about the medicals. The script on DJ Wonnum was going well, right? He was doing everything that he was supposed to do. And then in week 16 of 2023, he had a torn quadriceps muscle that ended his season, right? Now, despite the injury, the Panthers signed him to a 2-year, $12.5 million contract that March. And then his run in Carolina was heavily compromised by severe post-surgical complications, including infections and blood clots. It forced him to miss the first half of the 2024 season. Now, by the end of his 2025 season, he operated primarily as a rundown specialist. Go back to what I was saying, that he can do better than Aiden, or what he offers better than Aiden, is his run defense. He's actually a really good run defender, sets a good edge, keeps his eyes in the backfield, follows the football well. He can use leverage to break away from the tackles, disengage, and get after that running back. He also can collapse, push that tackle into the pocket, force that running back to go to a different direction. The one thing he doesn't do is he doesn't open up that C gap to allow that running back to squirt through for big time yardage, which at times has been a big problem for Aiden. So whether he's backing Aiden up, whether he's rotating with Aiden, whether he's on the other side or flip-flopping, whatever it is, the answer is yes, he can. So that right there I love. I love his versatility. And I love that he can play 3 downs. So he was primarily operating as a run defender. He hit free agency as a veteran looking to kind of reestablish who he is as a football player and get his value back up. Strengths and weaknesses that come with everybody's game. As an evaluator, when you look at a player, you have to identify the things that he does well and he doesn't do well. He's heavy-handed. Like I said, he's an edge setter. I think he does those things great. He's great in the run game. I think that he compensates for the lower body medical trauma sometimes, and he uses more upper body strength, core power, as opposed to his legs. That can be an issue, with bigger tackles that can bend you right over if you don't use a strong anchor. He dictates contact, though. I mean, he uses those long arms to keep the tackles off of him, and then he'll bend with a long stab arm. He tries to reach for that inside shoulder, which gains a ton of leverage. That's a rare move. I don't see it very often, but I've seen it a few times this year in some of the, the 26 draft class that's coming out. There's a few guys that do it really well. Danny Dennis Sutton's one of them. But he maintains gap integrity, man. Like, he sticks to his details. So when you're thinking about guys that can come into Detroit, what are the Lions looking for? They're looking for smart, cerebral, talented, technical guys, and that's what he does. He functions best, I think, as a rotational, strong side defensive end. who can anchor against the run and execute timely stunts, twists on passing downs. So he's not a full gadget guy. He's not a complete Swiss Army knife, but he's about 90% of one. He would definitely be one of the best edge rushers that we've had on this roster since 2021. So you also have to factor in the limitations, right? Post-surgery. The advanced scouting report that I came across noted that there was a visible reduction in his first step explosiveness, and the pressures numbers started to dip a little bit in 2025. Well, if you remember, DJ Reader had the same surgery twice. To what extent that those injuries were the same, I don't know. But at least we know, and Brad and Dan and the rest of the team are comfortable with the fact that he's had a similar injury, but he's now a year removed, actually more than a year and a half removed from that injury, and has already played more than half a season last year. So that should give you at least a level of confidence to know that he's healthy enough to come in and play right away. And probably play to a pretty high level, I would say. Like there's no reason why he shouldn't. And the re-trigger of another injury, I think, would be pretty low at this point. DJ Reader has done just fine, and I think the medical staff makes sure that, they're doing the right things. But the pressure numbers dipped. He had just 3 sacks in 2025, 4 quarterback hits over 16 games, and he kind of lacked that elite top-end cornering speed. So I'm interested to see if some of that stuff has been cleaned up, if last year was a down year. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when he's having a conversation with Brad, Dan, and Kelvin. Did he admit and say, hey, yeah, I was laboring a little bit, and I wasn't pushing as hard. I was still kind of recovering, didn't feel as natural. All that's okay, right? They expect some of that stuff. And you're another year removed. You could be in a much different situation. But here we are again, another depreciated asset, right? Another depreciated asset signing. And this is what Dan and Brad do. They find the guys that have extreme high upside, but they're depreciated because of, a roster depth chart crunch or an injury, previous injury, whatever. Let's take a look at PFF for just a moment. And I want to highlight 2023 to start. So you can see he had 9 sacks, 36 solo tackles, 17 assisted, 0 forced fumbles that year, 32 stops, though, in the run game. 9 sacks again, 23 hurries, and 38 total pressures. So, he's not out there giving you 100 pressures or 70 pressures, but you guys know how I feel. I think the pressures are bloated. I think that they're all a lie. And I think that, 38 is very realistic for someone with 9 sacks. Very realistic. 100 pressures with, 9, 10, 11 sacks, not very realistic to me. But the 5 batted passes that you see down here on the bottom right, let me make this a little bigger for you. Those 5 batted passes, this turns me on, and don't get it twisted. I'm just talking about football here, because those are like sacks to me. When you have TFLs, batted passes, those are just as good, if not better, than a sack. One of these times that batted pass is going to end up in someone's hand. It's going to be a turnover. 826 snaps in 2023. What is significant about 23? Well, that was the last year that he played with another edge rusher by the name of Danielle Hunter. So that kind of gives you an idea of who he is when he was in Minnesota. His last year, 2023. It says 8 sacks here by ESPN, 9 by PFF. 30 for his career. 4 forced fumbles. 250 total tackles, 142 solo, which, he's getting about 3/4 of his tackles by himself. It's a big number. That is something to pay attention to. 86 career games, 1 interception, 2 fumble recoveries. So overall, this dude's getting it, right? He's getting it. 19 and a half stuffs, 15 passes defensed. He's getting his hand up a lot, often. And it kind of got better and better as he got older and older, and then it trailed off, I think, simply because of the injury. I expect to see some of that stuff to come back. But 24 and 25, his numbers kind of dipped a little bit. 2024, he had 4 sacks. 25, he had 3 on a limited pitch count. So just who is DJ Wonnum? Is he going to fit in Detroit? And why are we bringing in a 3-4 outside backer into a 4-3 scheme. That's the thing that baffles me. And I've been saying this now for a couple weeks. Like, okay, are we going to see a different scheme this year, where it's going to be more 4-2-5, more that nickel base, and you're only going to have 2 linebackers in the middle, maybe go a couple extra edge rushers, and these guys are all going to be standing up, or our edge rushers are going to be standing up, because last year we started to do it with Aiden a few games, and I feel like that's where he plays better when he's standing up. I don't know. Like, we're not going hard after the linebackers right now. We brought the guys back that we needed. And if you think about it, like Malcolm Rodriguez, yeah, he can play the will, but he's also a Mike linebacker by trade, right? Barnes is your Sam. Nowosky is also a Sam. So we have our 2 backers. Doesn't mean that we can't get another one, but you also have enough backers to go 3 wide in the 4-3 base. But I'm wondering if we're going to have more 4-2-5, and we're going to have 2 edge rushers that are stood up a little bit more. Just something to think about, because you don't typically bring in a 3-4 outside linebacker, 6'5", 258 pounds, to come in and put your hand in the dirt when you've been playing up. That's a big transition. So what exactly are they thinking here? By bringing in this guy, another veteran that handles the heavy lifting on early downs because he's extremely good against the run. I think that this allows Aiden to operate, with complete uncomprised stamina, when you can take Aiden out of the game and give him a rest on at least 1, if not 2 or 3 downs on every possession. If they're getting a couple of first downs, hopefully they're not. You got to get them out of there on some of those early rundowns. Let them come in and do the damage on the longer pass downs and 3rd down and 4th down. But you got to get him out on some of those rundowns. Aiden is not very good against the run. He's just not. He does a lot of things great, but that he doesn't do. He shows up sometimes, but not enough. And guys like this that are specialists against the run and have high upside pass rush, man, that's a good mix. It's a good mix of rotation. So what's the verdict on the cap hit, and what are we looking at for a market value? And that's kind of tricky, but let's take a look at Spotrac real quick and see what Spotrac has to say. $5.7 million. Now, he was I think operating on a 2-year $12 million deal in Carolina. I could see that. I could see a 2 for 14 or a 2 for 16. I do think that this is going to be longer than a 1-year deal. I may be wrong, but I think that would be smart because he's still fairly young at 20. What is he, 28? He's 28. He'll be 28 through the season. He'll be 29 at the end of the season. So there's nothing wrong with being 28, 29, 30 in Detroit. He's got low mileage, right? Took half a season off. He played in a rotational space before that. So I think that, with somebody like this kind of a signing, a depreciated asset, it aligns with everything that Brad's trying to do. If he doesn't end up with a deal, I'd be surprised. But at $5.7 million, even if it's a 1-year deal at 6.5, I think that this is the right move to make. Here's some of the comparables here by Spotrac. So it kind of gives you an idea. The average salary, 6, 5, 4, and 4 for the production when they were signed, the age, the length of term. You had 2 1-year deals and 2 2-year deals. We know that Brad loves to do the 1-year deals. But hey, 2 at 12, man, I'd be all for it. And I think that this guy can come in and help Detroit Lions win some football games. So I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. Is this the right move or is this a risky move given the injury history with the quad? I'm going to go right move. I think that there's some good things here. And I get it. The injury, everyone's going to say Brad loves to sign injured guys. Look, every player gets injured. Okay? It's how you come back. And as long as he goes in and he tests medically, he passes, there's nothing wrong with that. He played his whole career without having an injury until that happened. A major injury, anyway. Crap happens. Well, let's see in Detroit, DJ Wonnum. And that's it, man. Don't forget, DetroitFootballJournal.com. Don't forget to sign up for free today. All you do is put your email in. I take care of the rest. And don't forget, man, like, hype, and subscribe. Let's get that 58.6% down to 50% next week. I'd love to have y'all in more often. Notifications on for more videos just like this. All right, take care. Adios.
Pressured by Hutchinson. He goes down.